Welcome back to the Success by Design podcast, where we dive deep into personal growth, leadership, and the philosophies that shape who we are. Today's episode is about something that's been on my mind a lot lately. It's about the importance of strong role models, especially for the next generation. If you're from an earlier generation, like me, if you think back to when we were kids, we all had some great idols. And if you're anything like me, those idols oftentimes weren't just people, they were symbols. They were heroes. Saturday morning cartoons were filled with characters who stood for something much greater than themselves. For me personally, some of my influences were the likes of He-Man, Optimus Prime, Ninja Turtles, the X-Men, Spider-Man, G.I. Joe, and obviously for anybody who knows me, people from the Star Wars universe. Now, each of these figures faced adversity. They led from the front, and they showed what it meant to grow, evolve, and how to take responsibility. And even though the stories were oftentimes simple, the lessons that were embedded within them were profound. They were timeless and inspiring. But here's the thing. A couple of years ago, when I asked my son who his idol was, expecting an answer similar to like the ones that I would have given at his age, he simply said, "You, Dad." Now, I don't want this to be like a Brentism. It wasn't an office moment, and I'm not saying it to sound important or to come across as some super dad, because it was such a valuable moment. But I'm sure that as he gets older and into his teen years, it's probably likely and a bit sad that I'd hear a different answer now. But that moment made me think, because unlike my generation, my son doesn't have those same types of heroes to look up to regularly. The stories and the characters that shape me and my character aren't around in the same way. Kids today aren't watching Optimus Prime making a sacrifice for his team of Autobots each week. They're watching YouTubers screaming at a screen. They aren't seeing a character like Lionel learn what it means to take responsibility as a leader at a young age. They just sat watching another kid open hundreds of toy eggs. And on reflection, the realization hit me hard. Who does our next generation have to look up to? Who do they emulate? They don't get the same opportunity to realize what character is about, because they spend, like many of us adults, most of their time on quick, fast content, which has little to no depth. The role of mythology and leadership in great stories, the ones that truly shape us, have always had this recurring theme of the hero's journey. From ancient mythology to modern storytelling, we see this pattern emerge time and time again. Joseph Campbell, who studied mythology across cultures, identified this structure, the call to adventure, the trials, the transformation, and the return. Just take a look at the legends of Hercules, King Arthur, or Odysseus. They weren't perfect men, far from it. They were as fallible and as flawed as you and I. They were men who faced incredible challenges, and they grew not just through them, but because of them. These figures stood as something greater, teaching us that strength isn't about power. It's about responsibility. It's about understanding that leadership isn't about being seen, but about stepping up when it matters most. And that is what we're missing today. We have plenty of people stepping up to be seen just for being seen's sake. But whereabouts are the true leaders? Because mythology, it isn't just about entertainment. It's ultimately about passing down wisdom. The Greeks had Achilles and Odysseus. The Norse had Thor. And in every culture, you'll find figures who embody sacrifice, wisdom, and resilience. These stories teach us how to act, how to think, and more importantly, how to endure. The stories teach why strong men and women must stand up. We have to step up. We're living in an age of instant gratification and shallow fame. The influencers of today, in many cases, don't embody the virtues that build strong individuals. Many are just chasing adulation and adoration from whoever offers it. We need more figures who lead with wisdom, strength, and integrity. Think about it. When was the last time that you saw someone praised, not for what they did for themselves, but for what they did for others? Mr. Beast, in his philanthropic endeavors, gets called names because he's trying to help blind people gain their sight. But yet those flashing the cash and buying expensive items, watches, cars, mansions, get false praise heaped upon them in abundance. True leadership is about service. The greatest kings and warriors weren't just conquerors, they were protectors. Alexander the Great, for all of his ambition, he rode into battle with his men. He didn't cower away from whatever challenges they were facing. He led the way. King Leonidas of Sparta, he stood shoulder to shoulder with his warriors. These weren't men seeking attention. These were men who were fulfilling a duty. And in today's world, that's exactly what we need. Unfortunately, it's exactly what we're missing. We need leaders who inspire, not just people who influence. It's not enough to point out that what's wrong with the world. If we want to see better role models, we need to be better role models. As a coach, I take that very seriously, because whether I realize it or not, someone is always watching. A student, a young fighter, my own son. And if no one else is going to step up, then it's on us. Then we must. In our martial arts academy, I'm blessed that I have a village in there that helps not only raise my son, but many other children, and helps raise them with strong values and helps to plant those positive, enriching seeds in their mind so that they develop into strong young men and women. As the old saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a strong man and woman to raise a village. One thing that I believe we've lost in modern times is the emphasis on virtues. Courage, honor, discipline. These are the things that made men and women great throughout history. But today, they're often overlooked. Let's take courage, for example. Courage isn't just about facing physical danger. It's about standing up for what's right, even when that might be unpopular. It's about making hard choices when the easy ones are available. It's about standing up and making a change, even when it feels uncomfortable. It's about being a leader for others. What about honor? This one is even rarer. Honor used to mean everything. It was the foundation of a person's character. It wasn't just about being honest. It was about living with integrity, being someone that other people could trust. A person's word was the bond. And possibly most importantly, what about discipline? The key to everything. Discipline is what separates those who achieve from those who wish. It's what makes a person show up when they don't feel like it. It's what makes a leader keep going when everybody else quits. These aren't just old-fashioned ideals. They're the pillars of greatness, and we need to bring them back. Everywhere we look, these traits are missing massively. Many of our current leaders seemingly don't know how to lead. They only seem to know how to self-serve. I don't feel many are in the mindset of being in service to others if it doesn't somehow serve themselves in the process. So where does that leave us? It's pretty easy to talk about what's missing, but the real question is, what are we going to do about it? The truth is, we are all shaping the world around us, whether we realize it or not. Every day, through our actions, we are influencing someone. Our kids, our students, our family, our friends. That's one of the main reasons that I took a stand on my social media posts and I altered my whole channel. I saw what was happening on these platforms and I broke my number one rule that I lived by, that was inspired by the great Roman emperor himself, Marcus Aurelius. Never be overheard complaining, not even to yourself. I saw these distasteful posts, the complaining, the name calling, the greed, the material wealth and showing it off, and I began to berate it. I called it for what it was, but I broke my rule. I was complaining about it all and doing nothing about it. I was complaining about the effect it would surely have on society that engaged in that content. Now, I use this rule because complaining doesn't serve anybody. It just compounds the things that we don't want. It doesn't change things at all. So I realized that if I want social media to change, then I must be a catalyst for that to happen. I must be uncomfortable for that to happen. So I stopped complaining and I made the concerted effort to make a difference, no matter how small that difference may be. So let's ask ourselves, are we stepping up? Are we being the kind of people that we wish we had to look up to when we were young? Because whether you believe it or not, someone somewhere is modeling their behavior after you. So let's make sure that the example you're setting is an example worth following. If you enjoy my content, then head over to my site, tomblackledge.com, and you can sign up for reminders about my books and courses and all the other content that I post. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Success by Design. And why don't you let me know who are yours or who are your idols, heroes and inspirations. Let me know in the comments. And if you have any topics you think I should cover, as always, please let me know in the comments or drop me a message. And if you want to listen to past episodes, click over here somewhere on the next screen or go through our library and subscribe. Till next time, take care.